Can't wait, and now you don't have to, because this segment is on and popping. Bart Scott and Jeremy Fowler join the program. Gentlemen, good morning to you. J-Bone. The Bengals locked in contract extensions for both Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins earlier this week. Now, the focus shifts to Trey Hendrickson, who's also looking for a new deal. Where do things stand between the two sides? I'm told discussions between the Bengals and Hendrickson are at a standstill. Cincinnati attempted to restart talks last week, engaging in negotiations for several days, exchanging potential offers, but ultimately failing to reach an agreement. Despite some clear interest from teams in need of a premier pass rusher, the Bengals have not shown any urgency to trade him. This situation is at a crossroads. The team wants to retain Hendrickson and has made him offers. But from his perspective, those numbers simply don't match his value in a rapidly inflating pass rusher market. Hendrickson has amassed 35 sacks over the past 2 seasons. The market for elite pass rushers has skyrocketed well beyond $35 million annually, yet the Bengals seem hesitant to meet that price point. Their long-term strategy was always to secure their 3 core stars, Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson. But prioritization matters. Paying a second wide receiver $28 million per year while undervaluing the league's leading sack artist raises serious questions. We've seen this before from Cincinnati. Go back to the days of T.J. Houshmandzadeh and Chad Ochocinco. The Bengals consistently struggle with retaining defensive talent, often waiting too long to secure contracts. In a division where defensive dominance is paramount, letting Hendrickson slip through the cracks would be a major miscalculation. Over the last 2 years, he has outperformed even Myles Garrett in terms of pure production. The Bengals tried to mask the issue last season, hoping Hendrickson's performance would dip or that the market wouldn't explode. But now, the leverage belongs entirely to the player. Rumors of a trade? Laughable. Cincinnati has reportedly slapped an unrealistic asking price, a first-round pick, on any potential deal, knowing full well that a team acquiring Hendrickson would have to immediately commit to a contract in the $30 to $35 million range. And once Micah Parsons secures his next deal, expect the market to inflate even further. Now let's talk strategy. Can the Bengals justify trading Hendrickson by arguing that their defense wasn't great last year, even with him leading the league in sacks? Absolutely not. You don't improve by losing your best defensive player. Over the past 5 years, he's been the second or third most important player on this roster. But there's an even bigger issue brewing. Orlando Brown Jr. is going to want his payday soon. The Bengals are walking a financial tightrope. When you lock up multiple players at the top of the market, depth suffers. And let's be honest, this team hasn't exactly been elite when it comes to drafting defensive talent. Can they still win the AFC North if they extend all 3, Chase, Higgins, and Hendrickson? Not a chance. Their philosophy seems to be built around simply outscoring opponents. But in this division, you can't just outgun teams. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland all have offenses that can keep pace, but they also bring elite defensive play to the table. And speaking of the AFC North, there's another storyline developing in Cleveland. Carson Wentz, a name Browns fans might not want to hear, is emerging as a serious candidate for their quarterback room. Remember, Cleveland once had the opportunity to draft Wentz with the 2nd overall pick in 2016, but passed on him, only to be criticized when Philadelphia moved up to get him. Now, years later, he could be walking through those doors. It makes sense. Cleveland is in a financial nightmare with Deshaun Watson's contract. They're also facing cap implications from the Myles Garrett deal. The goal now? Find a viable option at quarterback without breaking the bank. According to Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, there is definite mutual interest between Wentz and the Browns. He could be their fallback option if Russell Wilson doesn't land there. Wilson's situation is complicated. His future remains on hold, partially due to Aaron Rodgers' indecision. But as I started digging around, I kept hearing Carson Wentz's name pop up in conversations. The buzz is real. And given Cleveland's current quarterback landscape, a committee approach might be on the horizon. Instead of securing a clear-cut starter, they might opt for a mix of just good enough options, cycling through QBs to see who sticks. Is this really the plan? Is this what they sold Myles Garrett on when he signed? Hey, Kenny Pickett and Carson Wentz, Super Bowl run incoming. And he just signed the deal with a big grin? It's almost comical. But in reality, this looks like a clear reset year for Cleveland. Meanwhile, let's not forget about the Indianapolis Colts and their own quarterback carousel. Since Andrew Luck's shocking retirement, Indy has struggled to find stability under center. Remember when Matthew Stafford casually mentioned that in 2021, he was actually looking at houses in Indianapolis before landing in L.A.? That speaks volumes. There was even internal belief in Indy that Wentz played well enough to stick around. But he was thrown overboard, first by Philadelphia, then by Indianapolis, then Washington. Look at the numbers. 27 touchdowns and just 7 interceptions in his lone season with the Colts. That's not bad. But it wasn't about the stats. It was about everything else. The vaccine controversy, missing key games, leadership concerns. Those are the factors that led to his departure. And to Wentz's credit, when those reports surfaced, instead of denying them, he owned up to it. Now, Wentz finds himself in a unique spot. He started 74 career games, thrown 153 touchdowns, and boasts a respectable 67 INT total. His career record? 47-46-1. He's still a capable QB, and in a league where there aren't even enough bad quarterbacks to go around, he has value. For a Browns team financially tied up with Watson's contract, Wentz makes a lot of sense. If Wilson isn't available on the cheap, he might just be the best realistic option. And speaking of veterans looking for a new home, Stefon Diggs is making waves. The free agent receiver, coming off an ACL tear in his only season with the Texans, is still searching for a deal. The New England Patriots are showing interest, and they're the only team in the league without a 10,000-yard receiver since 2019. But what does Diggs have left in tank? Look at the market. Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, and Amari Cooper are all available. Teams aren't paying top dollar for aging receivers. The days of Diggs commanding $20+ million per year? Over. The reality is closer to DeAndre Hopkins' 1 year, $5 million deal than a Cooper Cup payday. He still needs time to regain full speed. Any team signing him now is making a bet on his recovery. That's why he's likely to be a late off-season signing. Teams will monitor OTAs, assess their rosters, and if Diggs is looking sharp in workouts, that's when the offers will come.